Welcome to another episode of Your Faith and Health Community. I'm your host, Pastor Jackie Jackson, and as always, on behalf of myself and our producer, Anita Alexander, I want to thank you very much for taking out time from your day to spend with us. We always try to make sure that we give you information that's going to help your quality of life, and as the scripture says, my people perish for lack of knowledge or lack of information. So we want to make sure we get you some good information that's going to help you. And I'm going to start off, I gave you a break on the other show without talking about health care or health insurance because, as I said, we had the professionals on there. Now I'm going to go back, but I'm not going to drag you long because we know that we are in open enrollment. It started November 1st. So there were only 45 days from November 1st until the end of open enrollment. So you don't want to wait around. Don't wait to the last minute. So look, get enrolled, okay? I'm going to jump right into this. We have a couple of guests with us. You've met before Valerie Dow. She's the resource specialist. We work together. We're on the same team with the City of Cincinnati, Department of Human Relations, Community Outreach Advocates. Valerie is the district coordinator for District 3 South, which is Price Hill, Western Hills, Westwood. Lower Price Hill, and a few other things sprinkled in there. But we also have with us a young man by the name of Rayshawn Smith, and I've met him a few times, I also know that this young man has a clothing line that at some point I guess he's going to get going, but we're not here to talk about that today, are we? We just might be. Rayshawn Smith was shot multiple times back in 2013. Shot 4 times, right? Twice in the back, once in the side, and once in the leg. And I think it mentioned you're 31 years old, a young man close to my age, and glad to have you here. Thank you for coming out.
You're welcome.
How you doing today?
I'm okay.
All right, so I just want to jump in this and talk about it. And I think in light of the shooting in, is it Tens Tree, or I can't remember, close to Los Angeles, this morning or in the middle of the night, where 11 people lost their life, including a deputy sheriff, as well as the shooter is dead as well. We're glad that God saw fit not to let you perish. And I just want to talk to you a little bit about it. Can you tell us what you remember, if you even feel comfortable sharing that with us?
From the time I got shot?
Yes, sir. From that day or evening.
Well, I was standing like in the hallway, so I kind of remember it all because I was standing in the hallway waiting for my friend to park the car because we was going to go play cards, but I didn't know like I didn't know the people. So I just like stood behind everybody to wait till she get out the car so we could go upstairs. And while I was sitting there waiting for her to park the car, somebody started shooting. So, and when they started shooting, it was from behind me. So it was like I was standing behind everybody. So when they started shooting, I instantly fell because I got shot in the back. And it was like the gate shut, everybody else scattered, and then they just shot me a couple more times.
So everyone ran off and left you?
Yeah, except for the person that I was waiting to park the car. The gate was locked, so I couldn't walk. My legs head was already, I guess, paralyzed. So I had to crawl to the gate to unlock the gate, and she pulled me out the gate.
Oh, okay. So she helped you, actually, which that is definitely a definition of being a friend. What area, if that's okay to say?
Downtown.
Downtown. And so 2013, so we're talking 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And within that time that you were shot, we know that in downtown, Walnut Hills, Avondale, Price Hill, Cumminsville, man, I could probably go on a little bit more, that there have been Winton Terrace, that there are a number of young people a number of young people, and I'm not saying that it would be better if it was older people. The point, but we're having a lot of young men and a lot of young women that are falling subject to gun violence. And I know, and you know, I mean, I was a victim of gun violence at 10 years old. I was shot, and my oldest son was shot back in 2007. He was shot in the back with a shotgun. To God be the glory, he was in his car, so he was trying to get out when they discharged it. But he still has 36 shots, you know, of the buckshot that's in his back, and that's the part that the car didn't stop. So we have a lot of young people that are losing their lives or getting shot, which is definitely a life changer. And would you just share with us a little bit of how your life changed? I know we know the obvious, but I mean just a little bit more in depth of how your life changed.
It was definitely a life changer for me, because it's like 1 minute you walking, and then the next minute you're not walking. You know, so that was already like, is I'm gonna be able to walk again? What life gonna be like now once I get out of here, out of the hospital or recovery? Like, how long would it take for me to recover from this? Like, it's just a lot of different things probably was going through my head at the time. So, I mean, it was like, it was just real. It was just like I had to adjust to a different me. Basically, it's like I had to rebuild myself from that day on. From that day in the hallway, it was like, God, if you get me through this, I'm do whatever I can to be a better me. So I just basically just try to take my situation and try to rebuild myself. Like, it's still a lot of stuff that I got going, like, still a lot of stuff that I'm working on, that I'm trying to do, but like for the most part, it's just like going one day at a time to try to rebuild your life all back over, like one day at a time, basically.
Are you finding, okay, this actually sounds like a crazy question because I know it's difficult, but are there parts that you're finding that may have, because you mentioned that if God let you live, you would be a better you. So are there things or parts that you're finding that came from or an effect from being shot that you are really pleased with in the change in your life? Maybe outlook or anything along those lines?
I gotta say my perception of life is more different now. Like, because I feel like in any situation you could be like, at any situation you can not be here. So I look at life every day like, just every day like it's like you gotta cherish every day of your life. Even sometimes like I just go through the one stage like I really can't take this. I really don't want to be in this wheelchair. I don't like some of the stuff that's going on around me. But it's like you just still gotta take it one day at a time. You can't overwhelm yourself. You can't overpush yourself because you're not gonna get nowhere. And sometimes I still feel like I don't get nowhere, like from all the stuff just everything that's going on for real, like the apartment situation, the job situation, just trying to just get back one with the community or with the people around you. But I just feel like a lot, it showed me like who the people that really will be there for you and the people that really won't be there for you. Like,
and that's definitely, I think whenever we get into, excuse me, certain situations, those situations are definitely gonna shine a light on who's there. You know, because it's the old thing, you know, when good times are going, everybody's there.
Everybody's
you know, and
there.
everybody's there. They're your friend. They want to
Yeah.
be as soon as a situation occurs. And it doesn't have to be an extreme situation, but as soon as it seems to stop the flow of the party, so if I can use that phrase,
Yeah.
that it seems that people sometimes have a tendency to start moving away, or they don't answer their phone the way that they used to. But I've found in situations in my life, and I don't know if you've seen this or this way for you, Valerie, that sometimes the people that are purged out of our life at that point in time, it was actually good for them to be purged, because it's like, I heard somebody once refer to like friendships and relationships like a comfortable pair of shoes. You need to get rid of them, but every time you put them on, it's like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so you're not as quick to throw them away. But then once whatever happens, they just get too far done and they're gone. Then you get this new pair of shoes and you realize, wait a minute, this is pretty good. And so I think sometimes with friendships, that I believe God sometimes moves people out of our life as well, because we won't move them. And so sometimes he'll create circumstances that will make them disappear, so to speak. And so I think when we get that situation, that is good. And like you said, just learning, getting a different perspective on life. Because, sometimes we can have life going not perfect, and whoever has a perfect life is probably lying to you. They don't have a perfect life. But, we get caught up in our situation and not realize that, wait a minute, life, I may not have, you're too young to remember this song, but it was a song, you remember this, though you may not drive a great big Cadillac, against the white walls, TV antennas in the back. It said you may not have a car at all, but remember, brothers and sisters, you can still stand tall.
Yeah.
Just be thankful
For what you got.
And I think sometimes we I know when I had my heart attack, I just took having a heart that worked well for granted. Didn't even realize there was anything wrong with it until I had the heart attack. So with that, I guess all that I just said is to say that sometimes those things that change in our lives are for the good, and we may not see it right off. I've been seeing you now for probably the last year at our office, and I know you've got ambitions. I know that you have some things you want to achieve. And so what that says to me, at least me from the outside looking in, is that your situation, whoever did the shooting, I hope they got captured. I hope they're in jail. But whoever did it, that they may have stole mobility of your legs, but what they didn't steal is ambition. What they didn't steal is your ability to dream and to have visions. And so at the end of the day, and it's easier for me to say this, but there are things that I've lost, right? And at the end of the day, the fact that you can still smile, great smile, man, and the fact that you got some stuff like, I need to do this and I want to get this taken care of, is saying that it did not rob you of some joy, of some ambition. It may be harder. You may get frustrated. I get frustrated. We all get frustrated. Mm-hmm. But the whole thing is, are you going to stick to your guns and try to achieve it? And it sounds like your goal is that you're going to do what you told God. Hey, get me through this, and I'm going to live to be a better me. And so I think that part is good. We mentioned we got a lot of young people.
Yeah.
A lot of young people that are getting shot. In fact, now it seems that, we've had a 5-month-old this year, a 1-year-old, and I think it's one more, that it's just getting younger and younger, and it's getting crazy. What would you say, or maybe you do talk to young people, I don't know, but what would you say to the younger people that are under you, and even people your age, in terms of talking about what life is and how important it is?
Well, I feel like life for real is like, basically is what you make it. Or like you got choices and decisions in life. So the first thing I always try to tell people, even though certain situations you might feel like you even certain situations you might feel like how I'm supposed to go about this or whatever, but you always got decisions in life. You got two decisions. You can either go that way or you can go the other way. So it's always like you gotta learn how to choose the right decisions in life, for real, because it's really not the next person's decision or fate, is yours. So whatever you choose to do, then that's what your outcome gonna be.
So in other words, what I'm hearing is there's two ways to carry the message of stop the violence: standing up and laying down. That's basically it. And just Rayshawn had boys, and you're going to always see him with his boys. They play football, and that's one of the things that I know that keeps him going. It's his kids. He has his ups and downs. I think one of the things that I try to do with him is to create an environment where he could come. And on his good days, on his bad days, he could come to our office and just sit there and sometimes do nothing. It's just having that safe place to come where he could process his feelings. A lot of times we just don't talk. He'll just come. And I think that's the most important thing for him.
And I don't think a lot of times people understand the value of something you just said, just not talking. Mm-hmm. You know, you sometimes just sitting there, mm-hmm. the quiet, you know, because I think as human, our nature is to want to know what's wrong. Is everything okay? What can I do? What do you need? And sometimes what the person really needs is for you just to stay right over there. Just let me have my space. Let me have some peace. And with that, do you ever talk with young people about that? About even your experience?
Yeah, like since my situation, I done been running into a lot of people. I've been running into a lot of people in the same situation as me, like wheelchair, been shot, okay, and stuff like that. That's what made me more come out, like with my clothing brand, because it's like to try to motivate and to help people that been through what I've been through or that's going through what I'm going through, because I know it's a lot of ups and it's a lot of downs being in a wheelchair, being a paraplegic.
So a lot of things that we just take for granted, right? And that is a thing with us. For a lot of times there are things, I mean, for me, I know, things that I don't even think about, unfortunately, mm-hmm. until I'm faced with them. And then it's like, I'm having an epiphany, when in actuality, it's something that's been going on. It's something that people are dealing with all the time. And I don't know if he's not, have you introduced him to moms yet? I think that.
No, I haven't.
Your story, and you know, I really want to get more into your story, and you know, it's not something we have to get into here, mm-hmm. but you definitely have a story to tell. And one of the reasons why I say that is, I see you, and I know you're in a wheelchair. I'm not going to act like you're not. But there are times that I've seen you, and your life, you're in there, and you're like with this fire, you're full of life, and you're going, and I guess I keep going back to saying that you're not allowing the people or person who did this to you, they took something from you that you had no control over. But everything after that point, you have control. It's something like you said, you know, you're going to come to a point, you're either going to do it or you're not going to do it. Mm-hmm. And it seems to me, obviously Valerie knows you more because you work together more. But it seems to me that you have an ambition. And I'm just hoping and praying that whatever those goals are, that you just definitely continue to push and continue to fight and continue to believe that you can achieve. that you can achieve it. And one would be your clothing line. You breached on it, I didn't. So now that you did, I'm going to ask about how are you coming along with that?
It's coming along pretty fine. I'm just really just taking it that one day at a time too, because I don't want to be, like she said, Ms. Val said, don't be trying to take on too many obstacles at one time.
Yeah.
You know, I get jumping over here and jumping over there, but I'm staying focused and grounded. Like,
And you can only
I reached out. I've been trying to reach out to a lot of people in my situation for real, like, far as like that's in a wheelchair and stuff, and just like, you know, talking to them and letting them know like what I'm trying to do for real, because I'm trying to do a support group and stuff too, because it's a lot of people. I mean, I didn't even notice, probably I guess until I got in the wheelchair, that there's that many people around Cincinnati that's wheelchair bound. Okay. You know, so.
And that's why I'm saying on that, until you're faced with a situation. You know, this is kind of off the beaten track, and definitely not nowhere near as serious as what we're talking about. But one thing I know, and it may just be me, I drive a Sonata. I drive a Sonata. I can't remember what it was. I drive a Sonata. I notice Sonatas everywhere I go. I notice Sonatas, right? But when I drove an Impala, I never even paid attention to a Sonata. And so I noticed that once, for certain things, once that's a part of you, a part of your life, you notice it more, right? And so that's kind of like what I'm hearing from there. And, you know, working with Valerie, there's an organization I'd really like for you to get associated with, and that will put you in, you like said, you want to talk to people about it and stuff of that nature, that can actually give you an avenue of being able to reach out, and even when you're talking about support groups and stuff of that nature. And I have a lot of questions. I'm just trying to make sure. I don't want to ask the wrong type question. You know
You all right.
But what would, right now, into that camera there, what would you say something to young people about what you think they should be looking at or doing to try to make sure that their life works out well?
I feel like you got control decision making. You can make the decision, or you can let somebody make the decision for you. And that's like, far as like when I'm saying make a decision for you, you can listen to the person next to you saying, oh, do this, do that. But in actuality, your decision, you gotta live with. So always make sure it's your decision. And whatever you decide to do in life, that's how I look at it.
Don't be the leader.
Be the leader and not the follower.
Which makes a big difference, because sometimes we have our young people getting in situations that they wouldn't have had they not listened to their friend Bobby or Mary or Judy or Tommy, who was like, come on, don't worry about it, I got you. And then you look around sometimes and the trouble comes and you can't find them.
Nobody ain't got you.
They got you, all right, but so they're gone. And so that does become very important when we're talking about young people in their life and making some decisions, getting stronger in decision making. And, you know, I don't know, I believe you do, but I don't know how many young people actually even pray, or not just, let me stop picking on young people. I don't know how many people, young, old, middle-aged,
that's right,
sometimes just take the time out to pray and to ask God, this is what I'm thinking, what should I do? God, give me some guidance. And then be willing to listen, because sometimes we'll pray. When we do, we'll pray, God, what do you want me to do? Then God will tell us, right? But the thing that he tells us is not what we want to do. We wanted him to say, sure, go ahead and do that. But then you get in your spirit that God is saying, don't do it. And what's the first thing we do? That's probably just me. Because that's the enemy telling you, don't listen to that. That's you. That's all in your mind. Go ahead. Because the enemy wants to get us into a position. When I say the enemy, I'm talking about the devil. Satan, however you want, whatever phrase you need, Beelzebub, whatever it is, that somebody's going with, is the enemy's job to deceive us and to get us there. I think that our young people need to start placing more value in themselves. I think our young women need to start placing more value in themselves.
That's right.
Men, you need to start placing, you've got to, listen, if you don't think you're worthy or you're worth it, then you don't act like you're worthy or you're worth it. If you don't think that, if I don't think I deserve better, then I'm content with not having better.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need our young people. It's like you said, there are decisions. They're going to be decisions. And every decision is going to be something easy. And some decisions you don't need to talk over with somebody. When you're trying to make some decisions, sometimes it's better to keep people out of your business, right? Because sometimes people guide you in a direction that they want to go. And it may not be best for you. You mentioned apartments and jobs and stuff of that nature, and whatever challenges those are, not just for you, but for other individuals. Then my hope and prayer is that whatever they are, they get resolved. I know with working with Valerie, that's the one thing that I know from our office. She is the resource expert. In fact, we could give her a queen, and we'll call her resource queen.
Well, thank you.
Because I know from watching that she's not God, and I've never seen her act like or think she is, but what I do know that I've seen is she can bump her head and she's going to look for another way around to try to get what somebody needs. So whatever it is you're going for, your clothing line, my prayer is that God gives you that vision, but along with vision, you need provisions, that he will give you the resources in order to do it, that you get the opportunity to get your support group. And I'm just going to say, stay encouraged and keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing. Write it down. I'm assuming you have. The scriptures say, write it down, make it plain so they can understand it. So write it down, get it plain. And because God may have somebody already ready to make that happen, all you need to do is present the plan. So I just want to say to you, stay faithful with that. Stay strong. And considering the situation, and you and I probably both, we've all seen people who have begun to shrink and begin to not have that thirst for life. And so I appreciate the fact that you have a thirst for life, that you're not allowing what someone did to stop you from moving forward. And I would say this last thing, even if you run into a brick wall, there's some things you can do with a wall. You can go over it, you can go around it, you can get a shovel and dig under it. And if all that don't work, you can call on God and just kick the wall in. Just kick on through the wall.
That's a good one. I like that.
That's what you could do. Man, thank you very much for coming out. I really appreciate it. Val, always.
You're welcome.
So listen, I hope you got some information. We have more and more young people. I don't remember the number. What are we up close to 50?
Yeah.
About 50 people who have been shot in this city in 2018. I'm talking about in the city of Cincinnati. That's 50 too many. So what I'm saying to you, put down the gun. Pick up a book. I know it sounds corny, but put down the gun, pick up a book. There are ways to change your life. We don't need to have one more young person, one more old person, and definitely not one more baby laying on the ground in the hospital or in the morgue because of gun violence. And I'm going to say this, if you see something, say something. If you know something, say something. And that's not just for people in the street. If you're a police officer and you see something, say something. Because we got a lot of young men, black men and women, and some older ones that are being killed even from the officers. So we need people no matter where, if it's on the street, if it's in your community, if you're a police officer. If you see something, know something, say something.